What is up, guys? It's your boy 2Natural. This is my first non-Rivals to Riches video in a minute, but we did get some really hot news straight from the devs themselves, which I think you guys are definitely going to want to hear. It was an announcement in the Discord. It was kind of low-key. You might have missed it, but it is interesting, especially for my tier list and stuff going forward. This is going to be really important. So we're going to break it down right here. New blog post, just a couple minute read. Gonna be a quick video. We're just gonna go through it. Before we start the video, please like and subscribe if you've been loving the content, and also comment down below what you think of the latest challenges. Do you think the game is going in a good direction or a bad direction? Alright, so basically they broke down the player attributes, so the stats on the cards. This is actually a really big blog post because it tells us exactly what everything does. So let's just read this quick intro. Every player card in the game, whether a base card or a limited edition, has a set of attributes that determine their in-game performance on the field. Some attributes are considered core to all player cards regardless of position and have an effect on all cards' performance: strength, speed, quickness, acceleration, and presence. Others are specific to a range of positions such as endurance, which only applies to positions that carry the ball. So that's interesting. Some stats only matter for certain players. I mean, this was pretty obvious with stuff like throwing, but it's good to hear it from the devs. All other attributes are specific to the lineup position and their importance to the card success are arrayed in order in that stats section. For example, offensive linemen aren't affected by their jump stats, running backs don't care about man coverage, and quarterbacks are the only ones who need to worry about their throw power. So basically, this is interesting also. It says the list of the attributes are arrayed in order in that stats section. So basically, when you open your lineup, the first stat that displays on the card is the most important stat, and the second is the second most important, and so on. So that's really interesting to know, honestly. So let's go down and read what they say for each stat and break down what this means really for the game and how it actually affects when you're playing on the field. So speed, this stat affects all player cards and determines a maximum for how fast the player can run on the field. Makes sense, pretty basic. That's how speed has worked. I just want to skip ahead real quick and notice how speed interacts with acceleration. So basically, acceleration is how fast a player can reach their top speed. So for a good player, you really need a combo of both speed and acceleration because you want them to hit that top speed, but you also want them to hit it fast to be able to get away from defenders and quickly speed up, right? So that's really big. Shoot, I just noticed my light isn't on, so y'all can't see my face. Anyway, so speed and acceleration really interact. You really want both for a really fast, speedy card. So strength. Strength plays into the success players have with making or blocking tackles. For ball carriers or run block and pass block stats, tag team with strength to determine how well they do fending off tackles. And then for defense players or tackle and strength, it's incomplete, but I'm assuming they meant it teams up to see how they make the tackles versus the offensive player. So that one is kind of a head-to-head. They'll compare the stats and give you an outcome, I guess. Basically, that's going to be the POW animation that you see on the screen when your player gets a truck, I think. So a high tackle will actually prevent those trucks from happening to you as much. So then quickness is how easily players can change direction on the field, as well as spin and juke. So spin and juke are pretty irrelevant in the game right now, at least. You really shouldn't need to. And then quickness is just going to determine how fast you can cut with the joystick. So that's pretty important. Presence. The presence stat determines how well the player perceives the field around them. For quarterbacks, this attribute informs how long they have until they start feeling the sack pressure. That's actually interesting because I assume it means a red flashing thing when there's a sack coming. So I wonder, now that they say that, does the sack pressure, does that red thing actually affect your quarterback throwing and make it less accurate? Because I've been playing and it feels pretty much the same, but there might be a debuff applied to quarterbacks when there's a defensive lineman pressuring them, which would make sense. I mean, Madden has something similar to that. So that's interesting. I should look into that. And then for defensive players, this affects how quickly they react to passes made in their zone. So I think presence is actually a really important stat for defense, especially because it's going to make your AI defense be smarter and play better. And then endurance. Endurance is only relevant for ball carrying positions. So this attribute affects the stamina of players while they're running the ball. So this makes sense. Basically, endurance is like how long your player goes before they get tired, because we've seen stuff like this before. I mean, when your player's running and then they just they kind of gas out, right, and they get tired. Certain cards definitely gas out way later than others. Like the Tyree keeps its top non-sprinting speed pretty fast. And then if you compare that to like Zay, who's also fast, he slows down a lot and really fast too. So endurance is honestly pretty important when you're throwing those 60, 70-yard passes because it gives you a chance to break it to the end zone instead of slowing down and getting caught by the defenders. Jump stat. So I think this does nothing. The jump stat directly influences how high a player can jump. So basically, I think this still does nothing. When have you seen a player jump? Sometimes on defense they jump, so maybe it's important for defense. On cornerbacks they jump. But I've never seen my wide receiver jump for the ball that's not a diving catch. And the diving catch is covered later in this article. So I still will not be valuing jump very highly. I think it's a pointless stat. It's an overall inflator. Carry attributes, how well a player can carry the ball, which will be more important if fumbles are introduced in the game. Matters for quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, and tight ends. So right now, basically, they're saying carry is also an irrelevant stat. Now, question to the devs, if you guys are watching my videos, please do not introduce fumbles into the game. Please do not introduce fumbles into the game without major balance changes. Right now, the game on defense is a lot of luck, and fumbles are just adding to that randomness and RNG. Like imagine you lose out on a top 100 spot in a tournament because you fumbled the ball, like totally randomly, with like almost no way to prevent it. I don't think that's fun gameplay in my opinion, and I think that's gonna make casual and competitive players really upset if that is implemented. I think there's a way you could implement it, but I think you need to carefully balance that if that does come in the game. I'm hoping it doesn't personally because I feel like that would be super frustrating. And now, ball carrier power move, how well they can run over defenders. So that combined with the strength, I think, is the POW emoji that like comes up when you run straight through a defender. You get that truck. And then skill move is jukes and spins, which is what we figured. So it's not super important. I think power is way more important than skill right now because the skill moves really, you're only juking your defender maybe if you're at the end of the run and you're just trying to hit that little jump to the side to make one guy miss. But I think power move really could get you out of a bad situation. And then catching stat, how well a player can catch the ball. So honestly, let's look at catching and insane catch. So insane catch. This attribute helps determine how well players can catch a ball that's off target with a diving or jumping catch. Matters for wide receivers, running backs, and tight ends. So like I've said, this is one of the stats you'll see most on the field. If you throw it a little bit too much forward, a little off, your wide receiver, if they have a good insane catch, will actually go make that slow-mo diving, super cool animation to convert that. So I think it's pretty important. The breakpoint I've seen is over 100. I see it a lot more than people with sub 100 in this stat. But then that leaves us with catching. Now they say how well a player can catch the ball, but the thing is most of the time I've really seen if you throw it on target, your player catches it. So I'm not really sure what the stat actually does. I am very curious on that. So I don't think I'll value catching very highly from now on, and I'll prefer insane catch. Usually they go hand in hand, but if one has better insane catch than another receiver with better catching, I think I'm going to go with the insane catch from now on. These QB stats are pretty basic, right? They're throw power, how far you can throw the football. Short pass is how accurate short it is, and then long pass, how accurate long. Same thing with the kicks, kick power, kick accuracy. And then run blocking, so establishes how well a player can run block, basically. Pass block, same thing, how long you can block on a pass play. And then power block, I think power block is useless, honestly. They say how well a player can knock a defender to the ground via block. Please drop down in the comments below if you've seen someone get pancake blocked, but I really haven't seen that many pancake blocks in the game. So I'm a little confused there. And then tackle is how effective a defending player is at tackling the ball carrier. So that basically means how good they're going to be at not letting you get that pow truck animation. And then power pass rush, how easily a defender can run through or push past the player to the quarterback. So they say power pass rush is most relevant for defensive linemen. Now what's weird is down, if we look at skill pass rush, they say how well a defender can spin or juke past a player to get to the QB, but it doesn't say it's most relevant for defensive linemen. So potentially power pass rush might be slightly more important than skill pass rush. We don't really know at this point. And then the disengage stat determines how well a defender can get away from a block. I feel like from watching, this is a pretty important stat because if your defender can block shed, it makes it a lot harder to set up the run game on 2-point conversions. And then also to just get off those tackles and start chasing whoever has the ball. Man coverage and zone coverage are just how well a defender can play man or zone. Now, so this article is a little interesting. It does shed a little light on, and it changes my priority list a little bit, and I will be basing my tier list off of what seems to be important based on their breakdowns. But I was really hoping for a little more detailed guide on how animations work, which stats interact with which animations, and also if the stats, like how the stats work and they interact with AI defense. I don't know. Let me know down in the comments. Do you guys think this is a good update? I mean, I appreciate the update, of course. Any dev update is great. Any dev communication is great. The devs here honestly are great at interacting with the community, listening to our ideas, I feel like. But I did think this article was kind of a surface level breakdown and doesn't really give me answers to some of the more advanced level, higher level questions I did want to ask. Let me know if you guys feel the same or if you felt like this was a great article down in the comments below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Just a quick little update. Show you guys, I want to bring you guys the fastest news on what's going on with the game. So that's pretty much it for today. Y'all have a great day. 2Natural out.